Welcome back to Two Who's Review. I'm Alex,
I'm Fitz.
and today we'll be looking at the Sixth Doctor story, The Mark of the Rani. It's the first episode featuring the Rani, who has become way more important recently,
Well,
better or worse.
was she more important?
More
I
important than
mean-
she has been, in the sense that she's been referenced at the very least.
Sorry, I'm just trying to convey how bitter I feel about that season finale. And no, I don't care if I have to keep saying it.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have to. I think it'll be a long time until anyone forgets how bad that was. We can at the
That's
very
true.
least compare it to classic era stories.
Mm.
Like I said, first appearance of the Rani. This is also the first time the Master faced off against the Sixth Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the earliest Sixth Doctor stories. I think it's like either the third or the fourth that he was in.
Yeah, I think it might be the
Fourth.
fourth. Yeah.
Fourth he was in. Yeah. We get a lot more of that classic Sixth Doctor vanity in this.
Mm-hmm.
Not to debilitating degrees, unlike what we've seen in the past. It's fairly reserved. I
like the way it's handled in this story, actually.
Yeah, I dare say this might be the best that the Sixth Doctor's been written so far, at least among stories that we've watched.
Yeah.
In that only sometimes do I get the impression that he doesn't hate that he hates Perry, I should say.
Yeah, I even then, like the tension's there. And there are a couple of moments where it sort of becomes, it really borders on being like particularly hostile or uncomfortable, but you still get the feeling that he cares about her and people generally. Certainly, there's more opportunities in this story to see him display a sense of compassion and loyalty than perhaps we've seen in other stories. He also has more of a impact on the plot than he did in Revelation of the Daleks, for example.
Indeed. We've got this lovely little story set in the 19th century. It's set around the time of Stephenson's rocket, or at the very least, when a lot of the groundwork will be laid for Stephenson's rocket to happen. So, like, right at the turn of the Industrial Revolution. I was surprised by... Like, it's not surprising that became sort of a theme. When I first saw the people that the Rani had brainwashed, who were like very like anti-progress and like, oh, what's wrong with the old ways we've been doing it? They work just fine.
The machines took their jobs. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember thinking to myself, oh boy, this really hasn't changed. Like 2 centuries later, and this is still the mindset that a lot of people tend to have. So good on you, Doctor Who, for showcasing that fallacy.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, even just the whole, like, oh, what's wrong with the old ways? We just do things how things have been done. That
I guess
classic argument that always leads to A, lot of progress, and oftentimes B, a lack of, like, societal awareness and, like, just general... A lot of times a philosophy like that can tend to go hand in hand with bigotry. So it's great that this
on the other hand,
portrays people...
On the other hand, AI taking our jobs.
Yes, but like that's clearly not what Stephenson's rocket was.
Yeah, no, that's not the issue. We've said before, it's not even... I don't even know if it's specifically like the technology itself. It's how it's being used and how it's being used to exploit people and just make more money and destroy the Earth by polluting the planet. So, but that's a whole other topic.
And in the case of non-AI machines, it's always like, oh, they've taken the jobs of the mine workers because the machine can do the work. It's like, yep, but it's created the jobs of the people who upkeep the machine. So think about that instead.
That's true. And manufacture them and construct them.
Yes,
and
manufacturing, construction, upkeep, all that nonsense.
And there are problems, to put it mildly, with the Industrial Revolution, but they were all,
of course,
really due to imperialist capitalist interests.
Yeah, exactly. Which, like, kind of is the Master's role in this allegory.
Yeah, a little bit. I I mean, the Rani's kind of the cruel rogue scientist, and the Master's the Master, the manipulator, right?
The opportunistic
Yeah.
imperialist.
Hmm.
Um, is this can't have been the first story where multiple established Time Lords are the villains together, right? Is it this isn't the
Um,
first case? Is this the first case of a Time Lord team up on the villains side? Because
I
like in the Five Doctors, the Master is an antagonist, and so is the
Barusa.
President.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not working together.
Oh, technically the deadly assassin, because you've got the Master, but then you've got
Right.
Cardinal Goth working for him.
Yeah, that's true.
So that, I guess, would technically count. Um,
Um,
I don't. There aren't as many examples as you'd think, though. Let's
no,
put it that
certainly
way.
not. Yeah. I was initially a bit annoyed that the Master was in this, just because I was sort of like, can't we just like put all the focus on the Rani? But
Mm.
I think I've realized why teaming them up makes a lot of sense, and that's so that we can see clearly how they differ, and we can set them
Yeah, that's
apart from
true.
each other in ways
Yeah,
that
which is
also put them at
interesting.
odds at times. Because it really is an alliance of convenience for both of them. Like
Yeah,
if the Doctor wasn't involved, they'd probably be opposed, and the Master the entire time is essentially blackmailing the Rani.
yeah, and constantly trying to subvert the Rani and trying to,
Exactly.
um,
Yeah.
you know, outwit her, whenever he can. But you're right that seeing their different values, their different approaches, the fact that the Rani's a lot more sort of cold and calculating, and the Master has got this. There's like even the conversation between them where he seems to be obsessed with like pride, and and the Rani says, "Yeah, what a waste of time," basically.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Um, Villainous certainly in their outcomes, but different in their approaches a little bit.
I
Um,
also think it's interesting that like this Rani, like she loses in the end because
hmm,
the Doctor stops her operation. But like prior to the start of this, she'd been winning for a long time,
yeah,
doing her experiments in peace without the Time Lords knowing, popping to different eras of Earth to extract the brain juice that she needs.
she even ruled her own planet before her
She rules her own
experiments sort of
planet,
failed.
and that's also like such a stark contrast from the Master, who like
Hmm.
I don't think we've ever seen him succeed on that scale before.
I
Certainly not
mean,
before this.
yeah, not before this. Maybe arguably with Earth and the Toclafane in the reboot
The
series, but
Saxon, yeah,
yeah, the
Saxon and
Saxon
all that.
era, yeah. But yeah, not before this. The Master is very much thwarted, and he's kind of it's almost like he's almost always on the run, I guess, and he just keeps bumping into the Doctor, who keeps just destroying his plans. So yeah, in that sense, the Rani is more successful than the Master is. Um, that being said, maybe that's just because she's managed to avoid a confrontation with the Doctor for so long,
Could be, yeah.
because that's the
Um,
common factor that leads to their defeat.
it is, but I guess
Um,
that's also an aspect of it, right? Because like the Rani is for the most part smart enough to stay out of the Doctor's way. In fact, it's the
yeah,
Master's interference that draws the Doctor onto her radar in the first place. Like the Master's the one that draws the Doctor here. If that hadn't happened, the Rani would have been continuing to do this for ages longer. Whereas
mm,
like the Master is always the one seeking out the Doctor to try and
yeah,
finally get the better of him, you know?
yeah.
Which
Whereas
again
the
goes
Rani
back
just
to
kind
that
of likes
whole
to be left alone.
just goes back to the whole pride thing.
Mm,
And like Kate O'Mara plays this character really well.
yeah,
It's a dignified and refined performance as you'd expect from Time Lords of old, but like she can go very chilling when she needs to. Like for me, my favorite line delivery of hers was when she's like justifying turning Josh into a tree, which if you haven't seen this episode is wild to hear out of context. But like the way she describes it as Well, no, I've extended his lifespan tenfold, and it's simply
Well, yeah,
organic matter becoming floral matter. Like, what's the
yeah. Well, now that you
difference?
mention it, he is better off now, Doctor.
Yeah, like Jesus
Um,
Christ.
and even other things like, which there's something else that she says which is actually kind of intriguing. But she's like, oh, and these are a species of carnivores. Do you think they give a damn about the rabbits they snare and the sheep they slaughter? Um, as some horrible justification, which, yeah, like there's a chilling factor to her justifications, and it's different to the Master because the Master's more sadistic in his own way. He would want to torment a lot of even the weaker victims. Oh, by the way, we see the Master do probably one of the worst things I think I've ever seen the Master do in any Doctor Who
Like,
story.
kills a dog.
He kills a fucking dog.
He kills a dog. He literally kills a puppy.
I mean, he's the villain.
Yep.
He's gonna do it. But ooh, that was unexpected. A little bit.
Rough.
Yeah. Oh, fuck off.
I didn't even mean to do that. That was
Okay.
a complete
Fair
accident.
enough. um, but yeah, the Rani herself, she is intriguing in that she's like she could have been just another like a female version of the Master, right? That could have been sort of what we were dealing with, but she's different enough in a way to make it work. And in a way, this sort of goes back to your point. Maybe that's why they had both the Master and the Rani to show, oh, these are different characters and they do have different values. Um, plus all the banter, of course, and the sort of confounding conundrums they get themselves into. Um,
Yeah.
which I mean, I would argue, and perhaps you'll agree, but the interactions between the Doctor, the Master, and the Rani, but particularly between the Master and the Rani themselves, they're probably the most entertaining parts of this story.
Yeah. I will say that, like, for the most part, the Rani is shown to be like this incredibly intelligent force, where
Hmm.
it's like, like this whole like 4D chess kind of thing, or puppet master
Hmm.
even. No, maybe not puppet master. She's like well reasoned and well thought out through the entire thing. She lets logic prevail all the time. And yet her only misstep, which I noticed instantly when I watched it, is that she knows what the Doctor looks like. She saw him on the screen, and she even saw him in person as he was heading into the village. And yet she is momentarily fooled, seemingly, by him smearing dirt on his face. Because it's only when she listens to his dual heartbeats that she recognizes who he is when he's strapped into the gurney.
Right. That I wanted to bring that up because I had similar thoughts about it, especially after watching it today. Um, yeah, for a moment I assumed she was doing that to say, "Oh my god," and realizing, "Oh my god, this is a Time Lord because he's got two heartbeats." I wonder though whether that wasn't just the Rani making sure that, or just seeing whether he was alive to plan to do other things, and that like that earlier scene where
Yeah,
he's
I
in the
suppose so.
bathhouse and with the hood over his head, or the cloak or whatever it is. I I realize it might be a bit of a stretch my interpretation there, but I can justify
Yeah,
those
I
scenes
guess so.
enough.
Yeah, that's actually pretty logical thinking
If
about it.
it's just the Rani being methodical, in her scientific ways, and in a way that the Master probably wouldn't have been, that could have made sense.
Yeah,
Um, that being said, it's not as if we haven't seen plot holes like that in Doctor Who before, so that's entirely possible.
sure.
But yeah, but I can live with it certainly.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I really appreciate about the way the Doctor is characterized in this,
Hmm.
and it's something that I don't often see from the Sixth Doctor, but is like a pretty common trope amongst other Doctors, and it's like their fascination. Like as soon as he hears that George Stevenson is involved, he's like, "Oh, that man's a genius. I'd love to have a talk with him." And then, like, that whole thing. It's something that you
Mm.
so rarely see it from the Sixth Doctor, where he actually like is genuinely allowed to like nerd out about something. because most
Yeah.
of the time he's just sort of like above it all.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of more disturbing than that, even because um, a lot of the time the Sixth Doctor is just so arrogant and so
Yeah,
sort of in a rush and so crotchety that you don't see the joy with him a lot of the time. You just kind of see the weird eccentricities for the sake of it and the arrogance, and even the viciousness. But here we've got a genuine piece of joy, which is very in line to how really all the Doctors are characterized. So it's good that he's given a bit of room there to expand his characterization, because it's more of I think, a human characterization of the Doctor than we've seen at any of the other Six Doctor stories we've looked at.
yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, so I think it's good that he's able to inject that in there, and the best part I think for me is that deeper level of sincerity and passion and compassion actually in later scenes, that's mixed with a very quite a bit of a vanity and an arrogance that's unique to the Sixth Doctor. But I think because it's not overbearing, it works. This is
Yeah,
maybe there are ways you could improve the way the Doctor's characterized in this story, but for the most part, this is the
it's
Sixth Doctor
pretty.
that I want to see. Right? If
Yeah,
that
I
makes
agree with
sense.
that. It's got all of the landmark and like trademark qualities of the Sixth Doctor while still being the Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even what's that line? It's like when they're in I think they're in the bathhouse or in one of the buildings where it's like, I'm really beginning to find your particular brand of smugness infuriating, or something like that. And
Yeah,
it does, it just works enough, again, to elevate that antagonism, but not in a way that's really unpleasant and nasty. Like, this isn't, I'm sure we've both seen the Doctor treat Perry in a shittier way than this,
yeah,
um,
easily.
for sure. So, yeah, bit of an arrogant jerk for sure, and this is more of a way. This is more of a Perry thing, I guess. I wish she kind of had more to do in the story. She, for the most part, she seems to sort of just
Yeah, she kind of
get
like runs
captured
into.
and
Yeah, she sort of like runs into situations only to either encounter the Doctor
yeah.
immediately and do naught else,
I mean, the
or
fact
like
like when she volunteers to make the Valerian draft, that was a cool idea, but that gets thwarted in the end anyway because the Doctor just takes out the vial of the sleeping juice.
and she also needs saving from that
Yeah, quite a lot.
forest area. And
I
yeah,
mean,
just
that's a
stop the
fun
timeline in
scene. I
general.
think
It is.
I I, I kind of like how, in a way, minimalist it is, right? Because you think, like, mid '80s Doctor Who, they may not have the biggest budget, so you wonder, well, how the hell are they gonna sort of, what are they gonna put in the running time? How are they gonna make this interesting? That whole scene is actually pretty good. I think that's actually one of the most compelling scenes in the whole story when you've got the
I
Doctor
agree with that.
walking with the Rani and the Master, and he's actually showing compassion. He's saying, why are you doing this to these people? Oh, I've got your gun now mastered. I won't hesitate to ignore my abhorrence for violence and use this. Um, so yeah, it's just that scene I think encapsulates what I like about this story. That it feels fairly unique to the Sixth Doctor, but there's still the Doctor qualities there, and it's
Indeed,
using
yeah.
them in an interesting way. And with the forest scene and turning people into trees, is a little bit batshit insane. Is it using a lot of minimalism because they're just literally walking around in the forest with discs on the ground? Sure, but that's the fun part. That's what I think Doctor Who does well. So
Is it
yeah,
implied that all of the Rani's agitated goons became trees in that forest? Because we see a couple of them turn, but then the rest run away.
possibly. I don't
Because
know.
if not, then like we don't ever see, or it's never hinted at them getting the brain liquid cure to turn them back to normal.
As in the tree people or the
No, as in like the people who, if they didn't get turned into trees, then they're still amped up and aggressive and can't sleep, and they're roaming the woods to this
Oh
day,
yeah.
as
I
opposed
mean,
to
maybe.
being given the chemical that turns them back to normal.
I mean, two of them. I'm pretty sure two of them just straight up die. The Rani just kills them. I
Yeah,
think it's implied that the rest of them just get the cure. I mean, you don't see it to be fair, but
it's only
I
really
think that's the
implied that
implication
Josh's
anyway.
father gets the cure because he was the one they had
Mm.
like restrained. Everyone else was still in the forest at the end of the story, and we don't really know what happened to
Yeah,
them.
true, true. Good point. Um, Actually, that reminds me of one thing that did sort of bother me a bit, especially on a second watch. When the doctor's running away from the people who nearly got turned into trees. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe the doctor didn't have much of a choice, but did it seem like could have he prevented those two from turning into trees that he got stuck between? Right? Could he have done something there, or was that? Does that make any sense?
Uh when the two people who were carrying him are turned to
Yeah, turn
trees.
into trees. I just remember watching it today, and I'm like, well, he's just emphasized that he wants to save all these people, but then that happens. But I guess obviously he was trapped. I mean, how much could he have
He couldn't do
actually
much about
done?
that. And then by the
Yeah,
time he was able to get himself free, it was too late. Like everyone else had already run.
yeah, that's true. That was a fun little scene, though. Actually,
It
him.
was, yeah, it was well shot, well done. It was well
Mm,
well handled.
yeah. Um, it's actually interesting, but generally speaking, I think I like this episode a little bit more on a second watch. It's not like
Yeah,
brilliant, but because at first I think I watched it and I'm like, oh well, does the plot have to do this, this, and this? Is there any way to tidy it up a bit? But I think, I mean, maybe
there are
there
a
is,
couple
but I
of
think,
moments
mm,
where it does sort of like jump around a bit too much. Like it's sort of like it goes back and there's moments where like someone will escape and then they'll just end up captured again, and like the characters will end up in the same place they were previously. Like
mm,
it
mm,
seems a bit cyclical at times and not to the episode's benefit. Like it does feel a little bit too long in times, which is a shame because
mm,
like there were elements that I wanted to see fleshed out a bit more. Like I wanted to see Stevenson take a more active role in the story, but he just doesn't.
yeah. I mean, even
Especially because of the emphasis that they put on him in part one, the
yeah.
fact that he's like barely a factor in part two,
Mm.
beyond resolving the cliffhanger, is a bit disappointing.
I mean, even like Mr. Ravensworth seems to get more screen time than Stevenson does, and I like Mr. Ravensworth,
Me too. Me
but
too.
arguably, could Stevenson himself not played a similar role, I guess, or at the very least, as you say, could Stevenson's role in the story not just be a bit more emphasized? Hmm,
Yeah, I mean, if that's
interesting.
that's honestly, I don't have much else that's like worse to
Hmm,
say about this story. It's just that there are certain elements that I wish had been given a bit more focus than they did. Like I didn't
okay.
spot anything world or plot breaking. The characters are all really good.
Yeah.
Um,
Even
it's
the townspeople are quite compelling in their own way.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, you're rooting for them to be like spared and saved. Like you don't want anything bad to happen to them, even though
but
they're
even when
being pretty
they're
nasty to the doctor.
even when they're being deprived of sleep and they're being aggressive, particularly when they're being combative against the master, it is quite funny and endearing in its own way.
Yeah, there are a
And
couple of
granted,
occasions where I think the Welsh accent sort of like it sort of did get the better of me every now and then, where I had to be,
oh,
did you
I no,
say?
I had to turn on the subtitles, and I don't think that's a Welsh accent thing. I think that's an old English thing. They were because on the subtitles they were speaking in, or seemed to speak in a very sort of old English way. The word
Sure.
just the way the words they use contractions and things like that. But yes, I had to turn on the subtitles to get all of that.
But and also like it's weird because like the majority of the side characters from this world sort of speak regularly. Um, we were just talking about him. What's his name?
Ravensworth.
Ravensworth speaks like normally from our perspective. But then Stevenson rocks up and is using thys and these
and thous and
and thous and stuff like. He's the only
yeah,
one that
that's
really does it. And I found that a bit.
maybe. Yeah,
I
like it
don't-
is weird because
like, is that historical? Like, would he talk like that just to be like a
I don't know,
pretentious dick? Like,
honestly.
I don't know.
Well, the funny thing is, you could argue that the reason Ravensworth doesn't speak like that, maybe they're making a commentary on class, I guess, because you assume
They
that
could be.
Ravensworth is more of an upper class person, but then you expect the same thing from Stevenson, I guess, unless maybe he's a local or something like that, but it's just not clarified,
Well,
I think, in the story.
he's traveled to get there, so it could just be like, oh, this is how people talk in London or whatever.
Maybe.
But again, I don't think either of us are well educated enough on this topic for us to like speak to the historical accuracy of
Yeah,
of the dialects.
God, no. Yeah, it is just a little bit strange.
Yeah.
A small thing. I liked the bit where the Doctor does a bit of involuntary luge at the end of episode 1. Although it was a little weird. I guess it's not. It doesn't bother me too much in hindsight, but it was a little weird that we went from involuntary luge on the cart thing from the Rani's place, and it's like, oh my god, they're saving him. Nope, they're putting him on another cart to do more luge down into the mine.
I guess
I
that
don't
was
know.
done so that they could be like, if they didn't put him on the cart or the mine
How would he
tracks
have
rather.
gotten to the mine? Or
Exactly, like you need a way to accurately guide him to
yeah,
the pit in a way that
and how
isn't like coincidental nonsense.
yeah, like how else would they have done it? It's like, oh no, the cart from the Rani's room hits a rock. Whoop! There goes the Doctor, and oh, he's fallen onto the cart. Oh no, Doctor, don't go over there. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense.
It reminded me of a cliffhanger from an episode of Get Smart. And I used to watch so much Get Smart back in the day. I had all the DVDs. But like it's he's sort of like he's strapped onto an ambulance gurney that's like at its lowest setting, so he's just like lying down on this gurney with wheels on it, and then he ends up like falling out the back of an ambulance, and he's on a busy street. And the cliffhanger is, oh, there's a truck that he's about to like head towards. How's he gonna get out of this? And then the start of the next episode, he just sort of lies as flat as possible and goes under the truck.
And then goes under the truck. Yeah,
it's shot in a remarkably similar way with Colin Baker on the medical thing. And,
I like the way that scene is shot.
Adams
Actually,
well, he did all his own stunts for this episode, so
nice.
I don't know how they did it, but it doesn't look like green screen. I guess they just had like two people.
No, it looks
frame.
real.
They must have just had two people out of view of the camera, like rolling him, as opposed to just letting him.
I like the way that they attached a wide angle lens camera to the side of the cart, so you get that perspective, which I thought was really cool. And also, there's actually a small bit of direction that I really liked at the beginning when the Doctor and Perry come across the Scarecrow, and there's a shot where it's the foreground is like in between the tatters of the Scarecrow's robes or whatever it is, but then you can see the Doctor and Perry framed in between the tatters far off in the distance, and I just thought that was quite clever.
I also appreciate there's a moment where, like, I think it's before the Doctor realizes that he's walking into a trap, and he says something like, the spider's
web. No, I don't think so.
Yes, and then in the foreground, there's an out-of-focus spider web in the frame, which is really, really nice.
And I'd wondered about that, because I thought, as I tend to do, was that bit of dialogue a bit on the nose, because we literally have the spider web in front of us, but I think in hindsight it actually works, because it's just a bit of...
It works.
Because it's not so much, oh, get it, guys, it's a spider web metaphor. No, it's more of the Doctor making a quirky little observation of the scene at hand.
Yes.
Which, I think works well enough, for sure.
You mentioned the Scarecrow scene, and it just reminded me then, they're talking in that scene about, it's weird that there's no bird song.
Mm.
Did that never factored in?
Uh,
right?
not really.
Am
I
I missing
mean,
something? They never explained what
no,
happened
no,
to
they
the
they
birds.
maybe you could argue that maybe the Rani was doing experiments on birds. Maybe that's how she got the
Yeah, but
T
like
Rex embryos, but it's never clarified.
it's never clarified. If that was the case, they predicted the true um, biology of dinosaurs long before the scientific community knew about that. And also, like, if I don't, it had to have been for non because it's established that the reason she's there is for the human brain, and that's all that she's concerned with.
Hmm.
So, like, the episode gives us nothing to suggest that she's doing bird experiments as well. So, like,
Yeah,
I just a bit of like dialogue that goes nowhere at the start, which is annoying
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
a genuinely decent mystery hook to lead our
yeah,
characters into the situation in the first place.
yeah. But that's
It
all it
just
kind of is, really.
it also just turns out to be irrelevant, which is a shame
Yeah.
because they then happily depart on the TARDIS, having completely forgotten that 19th century England now has no birds.
Also, I remember there being a shot with the scarecrow where it's from the back of it and it looks like the head is moving slightly. Was that ever established what that was, or am I just misremembering that?
I didn't notice anything like that. I imagine it might have just been like an old like just something in the wind, maybe. I don't know.
I thought almost it was the master in disguise for a second. I thought that would have been pretty wacky if that was the case.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Um. Yeah. Uh. What should we move on to now?
I don't know. I think I don't I honestly don't have that much more to say
Sure.
about this episode, which I think for all the good stuff we've talked about with it, like like I said, we've already covered it. It really is kind of like nothing that special when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
It's sort of it's in an era where the Sixth Doctor is remarkably out of character. This is a good Sixth Doctor story, and that's about kind of where it stops,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting because that's kind of how I would describe the good Jodie Whittaker episodes as well.
Yeah, I can kind of see what you mean. Although I found the way the Sixth Doctor was written in this story more endearing and interesting than not all, but a lot of the better Jodie Whittaker stories. But that's a separate topic, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
Pardon?
Yeah, maybe. It's been a long time since I've seen any of the Jodie
Hmm.
stories, so I
Hmm.
can't really speak to that yet.
Sure. Um, Actually, I want to bring up a point of comparison. Actually,
Uh huh.
I considerably prefer the characterization of the Rani here than I do in the Reality Wall. Now, I know that's a bit obvious, but I want to talk about why that
Okay.
is. So it's established way too obviously, in my view, in the Reality War that the Rani's cold and calculating, and this terrible, fearful scientist and everything like that, fearsome scientist. But then that gets contradicted when she's like, "Yeah, I want to bring the Time Lords back," and they do have the element of her being sort of arrogant and tyrannical and wanting to rule over the new Time Lords. But I don't even think there's a lot of indication of that in this story. She's not really interested at all in the Society of Time Lords. She wants to just go off and do her own thing.
Yeah.
So, and especially given, as Hadley pointed out, the whole new Society of Time Lords that I'm going to rule, that seems like a much more of a master thing to do. It just kind of makes her characterization in that story even more frustrating.
Well, I
Um,
maybe I don't. Look, there is the extra layer of context in Reality War that we don't have in this, which is the Time Lords were wiped out
yeah, gone. That's true.
viciously and gruesomely. So you could see this as kind of like a oh well, I've longed to create the perfect society I can rule over. I might as well make that the Time Lords as this one little like
Hmm.
fuck you for exiling me. But again,
Mhm.
that's pride and that's more the Master's thing. So
Yeah.
I don't. It's not unrealistic to think that a character can change across centuries that a Time Lord is alive.
Mm.
So like,
But
I don't really fault it that much, but I do think I prefer the juxtaposition from the Master as opposed to the becoming more like him that we
yeah.
see in Reality War.
Hmm.
So like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily
That's true.
call her characterization in that out of character, but it's a regression.
Hmm. Sure. Sure. Also, can we talk about that ending? Um. So the Master and the Rani get trapped in the TARDIS.
Oh
The
yeah,
Doctor
that's
sends
right.
it way beyond the galaxy, and the
Uh-huh.
last thing we see of them is them cowering in the TARDIS from growing Tyrannosaurus Rex embryos.
Well, isn't it also implied that the TARDIS is moving so fast that like the inertia is like flinging them into the walls? It's not even just that they're cowering. It's like they physically are like.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, they would be cowering, surely, but yes,
Well, of course, yes.
there's all those weird shots where the camera's doing the weird stretchy thing, and
The
that,
distortion,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, and it'll take them a long time to fix the TARDIS again, given how far they're traveling and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I just found that ending sort of jarring because of how suddenly it ends. For them, as funny as it is.
Well, the
Yeah.
previous Master story, from my understanding, had him burnt alive and like reduced to ash.
Which story was that? I
Well,
can't
they
remember.
talk about it at the start of
Yeah.
this one. It was
Was it Planet of Fire? Because that
Planet
would
of
be
Fire.
funny if that was
Planet of Fire. It
okay.
is
So
Planet of Fire.
that's funny that it's named that. But
So like this
yeah.
it's just another situation where it's like we've left our villain no win situation, but of course they'll get out of
Mm,
it, and we won't even address it next time because
yeah.
you shouldn't.
It was just funny and
There's no
weird when I
point
saw it,
explaining
but
how the master survives. He just
because he
does.
just will. He said, "Hey, doesn't he say actually in this story? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm indestructible. Everybody knows that."
Yeah, pretty much. I like that the show
Oh
gets to do
dear.
that.
Oh dear.
I will say as well. We talked briefly about Reality War just then. I think that watching this gave me a deeper appreciation for the way that Archie Panjabi played the character. We can talk
Hmm.
however we want about the writing, but like
Yeah, but
having
the
watched this
performance
and
is
thinking back, I'm like, yeah, I can clearly see the Rani in this performance, but I can also see your unique spin of the
yeah,
Rani,
yeah. I'd agree.
which I like a lot.
Yeah, which is cool.
Um,
Um.
but yeah, we're growing Tyrannosaurus Rex embryos is how the story ends, which is a fun little set piece, albeit thematically dissonant from what we've had prior.
Oh, fuck. That's something else I want to talk about. I can't believe I nearly forgot this. Why is the Doctor's TARDIS key able to open the Rani's TARDIS?
Okay, yes, I wasn't sure if I misinterpreted that or if like he found a different key, but like I guess TARDIS keys are one size fits all.
Which seems
Is the
incredibly
interpretation.
stupid.
It's dumb. If that is the case, it's dumb.
Yeah, that's. Oh, God. Yeah, God, that's silly.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that was just a way of spelling it out to like the really young viewers who may not have pieced it together that it is a TARDIS before we get like the dematerialization.
Yeah,
You don't need
but
it. You don't need it though. You don't need it.
you could have just had someone make a commentary. It's like, oh, this must be the Rani's TARDIS or something like that. Like, in the same
But
way
even
that
then,
the.
like but even then, it's evident when the TARDIS dematerializes, making the exact same noise the Doctor's one does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. That was
Yeah.
weird.
I will say I like the design of the Rani's TARDIS interior.
Me too.
It makes
Yeah,
me
I
laugh
agree with
because
that.
it's very sort of cliched villain with all the cold
Yeah,
grey steel and the weird wacky gyroscope shape in the middle and the weird Dalek baubles on the side of it. It's but I just really like the design of it. I love the color the colors of it, the geometrics of it. It's just I just thought it was cool.
Yeah. A couple of behind the scenes things. This was the last story of the original series of Doctor Who to be directed by a woman.
Ah, right.
The next one was Blink, so that's a
That's a big
20,
gap.
21, 22-year gap.
Yeah.
Eric Sayward disliked the writers, which
Oh yeah, Pip and
is,
Jane Baker.
yep, that seems harsh, given that they put
Hmm.
out perhaps Colin Becker's best story so far.
We still haven't watched Vengeance on Varos. Cuff. That's often considered the best one
Okay,
of his whole era.
well,
So we've
of
got
the
to
ones
watch
we've
that.
seen, of the ones
They
we've
did do I can't remember. I don't think it was all of them. They did a couple of the Trial of a Time Lord stories, though. I know that.
yeah. Another fun thing, the Rani's character came to Pip and Jane Baker after a chemist friend of theirs said, "All you are is chemicals." To which another friend replied, "But what about the soul?"
Hmm.
Which, yeah, that's pretty much the thematic conceit of a bunch of this story as well. They fully
Yeah.
actualized that conversation within Doctor Who. Good on yous. Um, and with that being said, I'm gonna give this story a 7. I think we're done talking about it. It's
Yeah.
fun.
I think
It's good. It's not much more than that.
I think a 7's pretty fair.
Yeah. Great. Well, we're back into the swing of things now. We've got one backlog story and one
Mm.
classic era story under our belt. This truly feels like the two Who's of old. And speaking of two people doing things they've done before, next time we're looking at partners in crime.
Oh boy. Is that the one? Is Sam joining us for that?
Potentially. I think we'll have to reconfirm with her about that.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
But
But
until
cool.
then, I'm Alex.
I'm Fitz. And something in Old English.
Yeah, thou must subscribeth. Do it.
God, that's terrible.
Yeah. We've been doing this for 3 years and we haven't gotten any better.